Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the M4 MacBook Pros and see how these particular MacBook Pros hold up in 2025. Now, the big thing to remember here is that these M4 models are some of the best types of Macs that you can basically get your hands on. So they're very beautiful, they're very, very powerful. If you are about to go through and pick up a Mac, these things make a lot of sense to go ahead and pick up. So I want to get that out of the way. There's not really too many cons or too many disadvantages of buying these types of Macs. The only thing I would even kind of recommend is if you're going to go through and pick up any of these newer type of Macs, just spec it out to the exact way you want, especially if you're buying a MacBook Pro, and make sure you're speccing it out, not how you're using your Mac now, but how you plan on using it in 4 years from now, because these things will last forever. And these newer ones are even better than the older ones. So keep that in mind. If you want to pick up any of these Macs that I would recommend buying this year though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, the number one thing I want to kind of get through your head while we're explaining and talking about these types of MacBooks is number one, I'm currently using an M1 Pro MacBook Pro. I've been using this Mac for a couple of years now, maybe 2 years now, maybe more than that now, actually, I can't even remember. And this Mac, this MacBook has been an amazing MacBook. I'm using it right now when recording. I'm editing everything. I really enjoy it. Do I notice it showing its age a little bit here and there? Maybe just a little bit, but it's not really that big of a problem. It's not that big of an experience that I'm running into. And for the most part, everything that I love about my MacBook still holds up so well. These M4 MacBook Pros though are even another level on top of this current generation of M1 Pro MacBooks that I'm using. So with the M4 MacBook Pros, they come in two different model sizes. They come in the 14-inch model or the 16-inch model. So you can choose whichever one you want. Keep in mind, the bigger the MacBook, the bigger the price tag. Their starting price tag though for their M4 MacBook Pro, the 14-inch model, is about $1,599. So $1,599 for that base model M4 MacBook Pro. And it's giving you a good experience. It's giving you a really good MacBook for the most part. But I would probably recommend going through and swinging up to maybe a more expensive type of model or speccing it out higher in certain areas, which we'll talk about throughout this video. Now, when you're taking a look at the exterior, the design hasn't changed much since 2021, but they really don't need to change too much because this design is still very, very beautiful. The front is giving you, like I said, either a 14.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR display or a 16.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR display. So these things are fairly big, but I haven't really run into too many problems carrying these types of MacBooks with me. Now the 16-inch model is massive, but that 14-inch model, whenever I'm traveling, whenever I'm going anywhere, it's very portable. I came from a 13-inch MacBook before this and that was very portable, but this thing's still good. When I'm in airplanes or I'm in a car and I'm just, on my MacBook, I don't feel like I'm encroaching in any other person's space. And I feel like it's a good amount of space for that 14-inch model. But keep in mind that 16-inch model might take it up a notch. It also brings out two different colors. So you can either get that space black model, which is awesome, or you can get that silver model. Personally for me, I think that space black model looks really good. It looks like a super solid space gray type of Mac. And I'm a very big fan of that type of Mac when it comes down to it from that side. So I definitely would say the color selection is really, really nice. But my favorite thing about these MacBooks, and when they first debuted, I knew I had to buy one, are basically the port selections you have inside of it. So you are basically getting a ton of different ports inside of this compared to the previous Macs that we had before. Now, for the M4 MacBook Pro, the base model M4 MacBook Pros, like the cheapest one, the $1,599 one, you're getting 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB ports, an HDMI port, and an SD card slot. So that is for the M4 MacBook Pro. For the M4 Pro MacBook Pro or the M4 Max or Ultra, whichever one those higher end models are, those ones are giving you 3 Thunderbolt 5 USB-C ports, an HDMI port, and an SD card. So the number of ports are the same, but you are going from a Thunderbolt 4 port kind of area to a Thunderbolt 5 port kind of area. So is that a big deal? To me personally, not a big deal at all. I would still be totally fine with Thunderbolt 4. I would still be fine with Thunderbolt 3, right? I personally don't really care that much. But if you are somebody who sees that as being a very big important thing to you, then you can always swing up and buy a Thunderbolt 5 type of device and you have the M4 Pro MacBooks to basically buy in that specific situation. So personally for me, I think the biggest thing about these MacBooks are basically the fact that it does actually give you that SD card slot inside of it. I love being able to just take my SD card from my camera and plugging it straight into my MacBook. It saves me so much time and effort, and it is easily one of my favorite things going on for this type of Mac when it comes down to it as well. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here is basically when you open up this Mac, you get that screen that we talked about earlier. You get a really nice keyboard. The keyboard is still clicking and clacking, and it still feels very, very good. You get this massive trackpad as well. No touch bar, just all keys with your Touch ID sensor at the top right. And definitely when I look at this type of MacBook, I'm getting a really good experience from it. Like, it feels very good, it looks very good, and I don't really have too much to complain about here from that particular side. So I will tell you from that particular situation, I'm a very big fan of the way this type of MacBook holds up from that particular standpoint. Now, when you do kind of look at it from a, kind of capability standpoint, from a performance standpoint, this is also going to be another one of those things to keep in mind here. So like I said earlier on, you have the capability of kind of speccing out this MacBook on a lot of different sizes. So you can either spec it out via getting that M4 model, like that base model chipset, or you can spec it out and get that M4 Pro or M4 Max type of chipset. So you have a lot of different variations to choose from. Now, if you get that base model M4 MacBook Pro, it gives you 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and up to 2 terabytes of storage. So keep that in mind. If you're going to kind of spec it out in that high level, then you're only going to be tapped out at 32 gigs of RAM for the M4 MacBook Pro, which might be good enough for a lot of people, but that's only for the M4 chipset, which is more than enough for me. If I'm using a MacBook, that is still overkill for me, and I'm still going to feel like I'm getting a really fast MacBook, even from that one, for my personal use case. For the M4 Pro MacBooks, these are a little bit different. These are more for the power user. With the M4 Pro MacBook Pro, you're going to get up to 16 core CPUs, up to 40 core GPU, up to 128 gigabytes of RAM, and up to 8 terabytes of storage. So that right there is also going to be a very, very big difference. You're basically going to be able to go from, a 10 core on both to up to 40 core GPU and up to 16 core CPUs. So you're going to be able to get a way more powerful machine inside of the MacBook Pros compared to the, M4 model. So the M4 Pro MacBooks are going to be giving you just a much faster, much better experience, especially the M4 Max, than the M4 model. But I would only go up there if you're going to, use that power. I would recommend kind of looking at your use case right now, right? Look at what you're using on your MacBook. If you're not really using all the powerful things on your MacBook, let's say you have an M1 MacBook Pro, if you're already not really feeling like you're running out of power or anything like that, then I'd probably just recommend staying in the base model M4 series and using that for another couple of years if you're planning on upgrading. But if you're tapped out of power, if you currently are tapping out of power on your current Mac, and it is like if it's like the last generation Intel Mac, or if it's like an M1 model Mac and you're running out of power, especially if it's like an M2 model, I would recommend going through and getting the M4 Pro MacBook Pro and skipping the M4 model. Getting the M4 Pro MacBook Pro is going to be a way more powerful machine. It's going to give you way more power probably than you need right now, but it's going to align yourself better in the next year or two when you start kind of tapping that power. And within 3 or 4 years, maybe you'll run out of power a little bit on that Mac at that point. But by that point, you can go and pick up another MacBook and kind of move on from there. So that's kind of how I feel about these MacBooks. They're very good, and I would highly recommend buying them for sure. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.